going to be doing a little tier list today. Making conventional content for once. Normal content. We're going to be going through all of the seasons of Doctor Who, and by all of the seasons of Doctor Who, I of course mean the only canon ones, season 1 to 14 of the post-2005 revival. Can't even finish that with a straight face. Beginning at the beginning, I suppose, with season 1 of New Who. It sits at a pretty interesting place, I feel, because it set the tone and it set the parameters for so much of what came after it, and it kind of almost suffers because of that to a degree, because a lot of the stuff it does was done in like a more refined way later on, so it's very easy to look back on the first season and kind of be like, well, this wasn't that like creative or interesting, which of course is wrong. It's an incorrect opinion then, but I think it's very, very good. I think it's very strong. Possibly the strongest like season arc. If you look at like all the different threads of information, like in terms of the time war being introduced, in terms of how they set up the Daleks with them showing up at the midpoint of the season in like a kind of stakes raising episode, and having them get hinted at before that, and then they become like the season finale villain. I think it's all very, very neatly set up, especially when you look at the character arcs and how they tie into the plot arc. I think it's also very neat, where you have like the Doctor's like post-traumatic stress, and you have Rose's conflict between her real life world, like mundane life world, and the more like fantastical world of the Doctor. And in the end, that all kind of comes to a head in like a very, very beautiful way, which might just be the best finale in like all of Doctor Who. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if I still have that opinion by the end of this. Overall, I'd say, yeah, I'm going to put it in S tier. I think it deserves to go in S tier. I think it's a shame that a lot of people skip this season of Doctor Who, because it's really, really, really quite something. It has like has an edge to it that Doctor Who never really has ever again. I really feel like when they brought on David Tennant, they smoothed out some of the rough edges a little bit from the first season, and I kind of wish they hadn't. There's like there's a confrontational aspect to this era that I really enjoy. I really wish it like lasted longer. Vindication for Boomtown. Boomtown's amazing. The fact that they had the balls to like, in this show that's essentially just running around with aliens, they had the balls to like sit down and do like a Star Trek The Next Generation style like character piece. Excellent stuff. I don't know, I really like it. Series 1 is especially special given they didn't know if they were going to get a season 2, so they gave it absolutely everything they got and pulled out all the stops. Yes, and because they don't have that pressure applied to them, it might never hit this tone. I don't want to say quality, because we're going to talk about that as we go on, but it might never hit this like tone again, and I think that's sad. And speaking of sad, let's go on to Series 2. I don't know whether this is controversial or not, because I don't know what crowd we're kind of going to get in today, but I don't like it. I think the Christmas Invasion is really good, but that's not part of it. I guess the one you have to kind of start with is the Cassandra episode. It's a characters acting out of character episode. Okay, it's a staple of sitcoms and sci-fi shows. You either have like one of the characters get possessed, or you have some weird like virus that turns everyone crazy. You have like the Naked Now in Star Trek. You have a bunch of others in Star Trek as well. I think that the issue is that you can't do it too early into a season, because if you do it too early into a season, you don't really know the characters that well yet. So them acting out of character isn't really as impactful. And I feel like for this season of Doctor Who, especially because a lot of people skip the first season and go straight to the David Tennant episodes, this is a really weak introduction. The girl in the fireplace is really, really, really good, so that's a point in its favour. And then you get the 2 Cybermen stories, which are honestly just like spare parts and Genesis of the Daleks thrown into a blender. They're not great. The concept of Cybermen as a manifestation of fears of digital technology, they feel a bit boomery. The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Basically holding this entire season up on its shoulders. Then we have Love and Monsters. And here's a take for you. Love and Monsters is like the most underrated episode of Doctor Who. Let me explain, okay? There's two main factors for this. Number one is the meta-narrative and the fact that it's basically a 45-minute long piss take of Ian Levine. Incredible. Full marks, right? The second factor is it has the best kitchen sink drama Russell stuff, like, in the entire show. All of the interactions between Jackie and Elton. I tell you what, there's this one talent that Russell has, and he's still got it too. He will have a normal, like, human character just deliver this one line, and it just breaks you. And they're normally delivered by Jackie Tyler. Her little monologue about where she's saying, like, oh, that's what it makes you, hard. But that is, like, phenomenal writing. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, the whole thing is about Ian Levine. It's about Ian Levine specifically, and more broadly, it's about, like, toxic people entering fandom spaces and, like, ruining them. It's about how, like, people will come together out of a love of something, and they'll create this little cottage community where they form their own little bonds and stuff. It makes them all come out as better people in the end. And then some fat fuck will walk in and ruin it all. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Season 2 of New Who. I think it's quite mediocre overall. It has a couple of high points, but those don't justify the fact that a large proportion of it is dreck. And if you're not a particular fan of a 900-year-old man, like having a relationship with a teenager, as I'm not, then yeah, it's also got quite creepy undertones as well. I'm going to put it in C tier. It's bad. It's a massive drop in quality from the first season. Hopefully next season is better. And wouldn't you know it, it is. First thing, got Martha Jones, who is an incredible companion. It starts off really good. Smith and Jones is an excellent episode. Really good companion introduction. Oh no, the Shakespeare code is in this. In the bit where William Shakespeare is being, like, racist to Martha Jones, the Doctor just rolls his eyes and says, oh, it's political correctness gone mad. Which implies that it's the Doctor's opinion that Shakespeare is being fine and Martha's actually in the wrong for being offended by Shakespeare calling her about 4 slurs in a row. Yeah, fuck the 10th Doctor, to be honest. He's a bad dude. And 2 episodes ago, he killed like 1 billion kids. So I don't want to hear anyone defending this shit. Then we have Gridlock, which is a melancholic dystopian masterpiece. Gridlock is amazing. It's got a brilliant sci-fi concept. It's got some great, like, guest characters. A little weird that the cat guy isn't approving a gay marriage. It's weird that he says that and you're supposed to be like, oh, isn't it charming that he's homophobic? Daleks in Manhattan, evolution of the Daleks. These are not good episodes. These are trash. And I hate saying that because one of my friends was in it. But it's trash. It's bad enough that, like, the human Dalek looks like he's wearing a hat of dildos. That's bad enough. But then they have to keep the New York accent, which is bad. It's a bad New York accent. So what you've got is a Cyclops wearing a dildo hat, doing a horrible New York accent. And we're supposed to treat this with, like, actual gravitas. I do like the bit where the guy stands up to the Daleks and he gives the speech, which is what the Doctor would normally do, and he just gets shot. I think that bit's pretty good. I've noticed that all of these bad episodes of Doctor Who have, like, one bit in them that's amazing. Blink is up next. Blink, once again, absolute bang sauce. It's incredible. Almost works as its own little short film. If you got a mate and they're like, oh, I never watched Doctor Who, it's just shit, innit? It's just shit. Yeah. Show them this. You know, people debate whether Blink is a good first episode or not. It is a really good first episode if you're showing it to someone that's against the idea of watching Doctor Who. And then we get on to the finale. And I'll just make this quick. Utopia, banger. Sound of Drums, also a banger. Last of the Time Lords. I'm going to put it in A tier. Season 4. The 3rd David Tennant season. The season to bring in Donna Noble as a full-time companion. And I'm going to not waste anyone's time. I'm just going to quickly pop it into D tier. And then we're going to move on to Season 5. The Matt Smith era. Season 4. Need I say more? It's the best David Tennant season. Easily the best David Tennant season. Voyage of the Damned. Die Hard meets the Poseidon Adventure meets Titanic. Also with Kylie Minogue. That's incredible. It's an incredible story. I think that there's a stereotype in the fandom that just because an episode is cheesy and or goofy, it is bad. And Voyage of the Damned, it sticks its fingers up at that concept. Because Voyage of the Damned is very cheesy and very goofy, but it's a delicious Emmental. And it's the goofy movie, which as anyone who is any knowledge of culture knows is a masterpiece. It's great. It's absolutely great. Yeah, recommend. Pirates of Pompeii is great. It's a really, really fun historical. It actually does something with the moral dilemma of being a Time Lord. It's got some interesting themes. It's got some interesting ideas. Very Star Trek. And I think Doctor Who is at its best when it's very Star Trek. We can mention the fact that Peter Capaldi's in it if you want. We can mention the fact that Karen Gillan is in it if you want. Oh, I guess I just did. Doctor's Daughter is not a good episode, unfortunately, because it should be. It's just a stupid runaround with fish aliens. If the planet that they're on, if this war had started generations ago, right? And if those generations are each a single day, so this war has been going on for a week, why is there an old man there? Midnight, the scariest episode of Doctor Who ever. The idea that there's no real greater monster than just pure human fear and ignorance. It's very well explored. All of the actors do an incredible job. I love short, simple horror stories. I was completely down for it. It's nice to see this Doctor in particular get his ass kicked. Turn Left, another banger. Once again, really, really good multiverse story. Horribly miserable in a way that I enjoy very much. The scene that's jumping out at me that I remember is the one where Donna comes in and Sylvia is just like broken and she won't even look at Donna. She like barely responds, just like catatonic. It's a wonderfully acted and written scene. Really, really impressive stuff. Journey's End is not good because it brings up all of these really, really interesting ideas about the Doctor using his companions, his friends, in weapons in this war that they're fighting without even realizing it. And then it resolves it all with a few button switches. And Rose gets her own 10 to take back with her. Let's go to series 4. Where's this gonna go? It's gonna go in S tier. Now we come to the David Tennant specials. I remember the Cybermen one was good. The David Tennant specials are not a season of Doctor Who. But if I have to count them, I would say overall it's a B tier from me. The Cybermen one is good. The one on the Dead Planet is awful. Waters of Mars is really good, and The End of Time is okay. I am going to put it in solidly in B tier. And now we come on to the beginning of the Moffat era of Doctor Who. My god, Series 5, eh? Series 5. Well, in terms of its story arc, I would say it's the best one since Series 1. I think the cracks in the universe are very, very well executed in the story. I love that they have stakes and consequences in the story. I think that Matt Smith has had probably the hardest job of any Doctor Who following David Tennant, and he did it magnificently well. I would argue a lot better than Peter Davison did following Tom Baker. I love the fact that the season finale is more of like a sci-fi problem that needs to be solved than like a big alien invasion. I think it's a really good switch up, because to be honest, the RTD era gets really repetitive with its season finales. Recent ones in Z tier, do you mean the Shooty Gatwa ones? Because that's a stupid opinion, I'm sorry. No, they're not perfect and the finale is bad, but we'll get to it. Series 5. Series 5, I'm putting it in S tier, guys, solidly. Series 6 is my baby, and I will defend it to the death. I think Series 6 is quite underrated. Well, by that I mean Wedding of River Song is underrated. It's really imaginative and fun. I like the fact that it resolves all of its characters' arcs in a really, really nice way. I think it's really interesting because, like, in my opinion, after the first season, Russell's arcs aren't necessarily the strongest, but there's some really, really good individual episodes, and I think with the Matt Smith era, the individual episodes get lost in the mix a bit, but his first season story arc is so well delivered and so well put together that it overrides that weakness. And I will put it in S tier. Because S tier doesn't mean perfect. Because nothing's perfect. S tier just means superlatively good. Series 6 is going to go in A tier. It's not as good as Series 5. It's not as tight as Series 5. Part of that is because it's a lot more ambitious and it kind of wobbles under the weight of its own ambition. But it's a very, very solid run of Doctor Who. Now we come on to Series 7. And it's really bad, guys. I'm going to put it in C tier because Town Called Mercy is S tier. Oh, it's Series 7A? Oh, okay. B, Series 7B, C. Oh, I'm a very spicy gentleman. I don't know what to say. Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. You know the, I was saying before about how individual episodes in the Matt Smith era get lost in the mix? That also works in its favour too, because it means that when there's a bad episode, they don't hit nearly as hard as the David Tennant bad episodes do. So yeah, 50th anniversary, wonderfully executed, basically made Doctor Who the most culturally relevant it's ever been. Stephen Moffat understood the assignment and he performed and he delivered. And it's crazy that he did it under such crazy time constraints as well. I don't know, this is really impressive work. Has to go at the top. And now we come to maybe my most controversial opinion. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for my most controversial opinion? Jump. 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 The best run of Doctor Who in all of Doctor Who. The most emotional depth. The best incarnation of the Doctor. 3 of the best companions we've ever had. The best regular human down-to-earth supporting character in Danny Pink. You have the wonderful ring composition of Missy trying to make the Doctor see her perspective and failing, and the Doctor trying to make Missy see his perspective and failing. Hellbent is also fucking great. I like Doctor Who to be experimental. I like Doctor Who to be confrontational. I like the fact that most of the episodes are weird format experiments in some way. I mean, they did a goddamn found footage episode. Best version of the Cybermen we've had in New Who. By far. The concept that the Cybermen are just a social contagion that will always appear where there's humans is magnificent. Yeah, it's incredible. And yet, Heaven Sent is in it too. Also, the cover of Don't Stop Me Now in the Orient Express episode is great. The cover is great. And that episode is just... Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. There's the highs in this season make the lows inconsequential. And there aren't that many lows if you actually tally the episodes. If it was up to me, there would be an S+ tier, and all 3 of these would be in that S+ tier. And also, so would Series 1. I think that this is an interesting era, because, like, if you hate it for the same reasons that I love it, that's totally valid. Series 11. Let's see. I'm going to try and be fair. No, it's not good, is it? I hate how conservative the messaging is in the 13th Doctor era. He just loves cop shows. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate that they send out the message that fucking capitalism is A-okay. I hate all the weird racist stuff in it. I hate the fact that they're looking at fucking climate change and they're like, you, Zoomers, who have no ability to control any of this, it's your responsibility to fix it. Because it certainly isn't us boomers. Series 12, where the Doctor throws a guy to the Nazis. It's better. Kind of. Not really, though. It's more fun if you're like a Doctor Who fan, I guess, in the sense that you like keys being jangled in your face. I wish that the show had continued the tone of The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Earthy tone to it, that the rest of her era just really lacks, and I'm still mad about it. The Flux is her best season. It's really good. Not in A tier, though. We have to move these guys down. Chibnall can write and write well. He can write cop shows well. Writing cop shows and writing Doctor Who require completely different skill sets. Capitalism is the worst economics other than all of the others. Dude, can you not Can you not with this like Reddit posting in here? Is this Power of the Doctor? Power of the Doctor is bad. Power of the Doctor was the 60th anniversary, which was deserved. Here otherwise, it was a party and everyone was invited. I disagree, because I think the 60th anniversary should be a really, really good story that has a bunch of stuff in it, and they forgot to do the really, really good story part of that equation. Right, so, I like it a lot, to be honest. I really like the 60th specials. I think the giggle ends in a kind of nonsensical way. The bi-generation thing is still weird. However, Star Beast is a really, really fun time. Cringe notwithstanding at the end there. And, I mean, Wild Blue Yonder is a perfect piece of media. It's incredible. But the actual 60th anniversary didn't execute a good story. Yes, it did, and it was called Wild Blue Yonder. That's what's holding it up. Giggle is alright. Giggle is the bad one. Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder are both really good, though. So I am going to put it in B tier, to be fair. I like the Whittaker specials more. That's fair. And it appears that the Whittaker specials and the 60th are roughly in the same tier in terms of my opinion. And now we come to the Shooty Gatwa era of Doctor Who. I viscerally hated Space Babies when I first watched it, but now I actually think it's kind of good. I definitely think it's very tight. Devil's Cord is still nonsense. I don't like the fact that the entire season's arc is clickbait. I think that's very annoying. Boom is really good. 73 Yards is amazing. Dot and Bubble is amazing. Rogue is really good. And then the finale is dog shit. So I'm going to put it in A tier, because I think that having a bad finale shouldn't really matter when the rest of your season is that good. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Join the Discord if you want.